Now here, if we want to mess around maybe with some gold and some red here, let's do that. So I got big old brush again. Big old brush again. And we're going to dive into some of our red here, some of our red and brown liner, especially here on the cloak. And now I'm looking to do it again just like I did on the other one. I'm going to start this off here. I might even throw a little bit of the clear red in there. I just want to get that primer covered up as soon as possible. Talk about reflections. We're going to have to really reflect a lot of stuff onto our golds here. Now, speaking of such things, there's our sepia liner, maybe even a bit of the orange here. And it looks nice and ugly and horrible. It scares everybody away. We're even going to work that down into the base. Now I could actually fool around with some of the snow effects on this base. Maybe that could be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's kind of what's time going to allow. All right, so I think we've got all of the primer covered up here. It's time for sponges again. Sponges. Hey, looks like we got Ford in the house. It's been a long time fan of you and Kathy. Looking forward to meeting you guys at Adepticon. Yeah, maybe next. Well, thank goodness for, well, at least things like this, because even this is still better than just trying to send the occasional Facebook message or that sort of thing. And Ford Fitch in the house. Yeah, that was the live streaming thing. There is a 0% chance I'm ever going to do that again because, like I said, there was no warning. They just killed it. Now, apparently Twitch also will take things down, especially if it's got certain things as far as maybe what you don't have, like no clothes on a miniature or something like that. I guess that is it's unevenly enforced. But with YouTube and everything that's going on with viruses, it's just a bunch of bots. It's just a bunch of AI looking at stuff, and it shoots first and asks questions later. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so we've got some colors spread out here. Well, let's start to take advantage of some of those. Clear red. And if we let our existing color mix in with that, oh, look at this. That red cloak, it doesn't take all that long to start getting some shading in there. Here we'll do the clear liner thing, or clear red thing. Let's see. Oh, Cosplaying hasn't tried. Yeah, well, first of all, it's got just zero interaction by comparison to this. You don't have all of the channel points. Oh, and here's the other thing too is on Twitch here, people will watch for an average of 2-3 hours of a 3 or 4 hour stream. On YouTube, they'll watch 15 minutes. That'll be your average view duration. So again, not terribly productive. Trader Legion says YouTube is really dodgy stuff. Oh, it wasn't actually a COPPA thing. That's where you have to mark your channel. Basically, it's either if it's for kids, then you get completely demonetized, and there's no point in having a YouTube channel. But if you do, it had more to do with. Okay, I was doing a tutorial on blood effects. And because it had the word blood in it, YouTube immediately killed it. Until a human looked at it and said, wait a minute, this is an instruction on just how to basically take red paint and make it look like blood. So then it was approved. But that process took 3 days. With the live streams, they just kill them. That's why I'm saying they shoot first and ask questions later, because then on 2 of my videos, they made those limited. And this it's kind of always been the case. I'll never forget the Morticia bust that I painted. And even though the manufacturer has all the permissions to make the character Morticia and a bust, he's got all the licensing, YouTube killed that video. And I thought, well, okay, maybe it's because of a copyright thing. When I looked at it, it said, and this is from YouTube, it said the name Morticia connotates death and violence. I changed it to the actress's name.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Hey, to cry some more. Thank you for the follow. It was immediately approved. All I had to do was get rid of the name Morticia of a fictional comedy show character. That was enough to kill the video. Again, I'd always intended to do Twitch. It's just that XSplit, for whatever reason, stopped working with Twitch, and that was my software. So all of a sudden I was left with no way to actually broadcast until I was able to figure out Streamlabs. Now, you can see we've been able to wet blend our cloak here. And what we're working towards here is your pyros. We're working towards that. And we'll do a similar freehand to that as well. That was just, yeah, even when that happened, I was just very leery of anything that I put on YouTube. Now, it's not that big a deal because all the important videos are all unlisted. Like all the Patreon stuff. Unless I let you look at it, they don't care about that. But stuff that has advertising on it, boy. Basically, a kitten riding a vacuum cleaner in a darkened room so you can't see anything. That's about the safest thing you can put on YouTube right now and not get it zapped. So we're doing a little bit of our water-soluble oils, also known as acrylics here, working with a bigger brush, working faster. But let's not only think about our reds. Let's start to think about some golds here, doing a similar thing. Let's start to think about some golds. And that preliminary glaze that we put there, that's not even dry yet. But yet we're still going to start working with this. Here we got some more of that's our clear yellow. We're going to let all that stuff sort of mix together. Let it all mix together here. Oh, let's see. That actually, it's not so much the adult thing. Basically, YouTube was not conforming to a certain 1990s law that they were supposed to be, and if they had just kind of shut up about it, nobody really would have been the wiser. But they were bragging to certain toy companies about how many kids under the age of 13 watched YouTube, and that caught the attention of the FCC. And then YouTube was fined, basically the operating budget of the FCC, about $170 million. And then YouTube pointed at us and said, oh, it's not us doing it, it's those evil creators. Those are the guys you got to go after. And that was when you had the legendary $42,000 fine per video if you didn't mark them for kids or not for kids. But as far as advertising goes, if you look at the YouTube thing, it basically gives you this laundry list of 20 different things that can't be in it if you want it to be monetized. It's why all my historical channels have all been demonetized, because, well, they have things that are kind of sad. Now we're going to just pop in a little bit of skin tone here real quick. Skin tone-ish. You can see how our golds they start to emerge as well. Let's see, Twitch is a few months behind YouTube. Well, I'm already kind of anticipating that. That's why I've already said, okay, these kind of figures, I'm either not going to paint those on Twitch, or certain things will be sculpted over. Actually, speaking of sculpting, that is something that I really want to start doing. I'm going to start it off as Patreon videos first, just to get used to it, to see how it works. But then once that happens, oh man, I really want to do some sculpting videos. I want to get out the epoxy sculpt especially. And I'm going to start it off with doing some conversions. I'll be converting some Lord of the Rings figures, some just regular Rohan riders into Royal Guard. Oh, thanks, Trader Legions. Well, hopefully there's just some ideas here that help you out for your own stuff, especially for maybe making it a little more relaxing, a little bit faster, less stressful. That's the other thing. Because, man, I see people, they just stress. They really stress. They stress so much about painting that they end up not doing it because, well, I mean, who wants to do something that's going to give them stress, especially when it's supposed to be your leisure thing? Now this, actually, because that's pointed towards the ground, some of this here is going to actually need some green on it. And look at this, we've got green right over here. Let's do that. Let's do that thing onto this thing. Give that a little bit of green there. Because maybe we do the snow effects. Oh, look at this. I'm going to start putting some green over here into the armor as well. Now, let's see. I think that's going to be more of a cloak over there or some kind of clothes. Remember, we always talk about having some form of green, even in the golds. Reflected light here. Going to just throw something on the base. Now, if I'm going to do the snow effects over this, I don't want to go too crazy painting the base anyways. I just want something there that connotates a little bit of shape. That's it. Again, nothing super fancy. Let's start to pull out some skin tones here. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Cosplaying Kitten. And again, if you want to see some more miniature painting, but also some really nifty 2D art, be sure to follow Cosplaying Kitten. Actually, well, when is, what the heck is it? Saturday. So your next one will be during the week, right? I'm just guessing. I can never be 100% like I'm going to definitely stream on this day at this time. Just, well, you know, internets don't always cooperate. Oh yeah, well they were doing the same thing on YouTube. But believe me, in this household, December was all about COPPA. It was, I must have played 35 videos a day on that, trying to figure out what the heck was going on with that. And it turned out that absolutely nobody knew what the heck they were talking about. Not even the people that were trying to enforce things. Well, you can see even now, I'm just going to start to indicate a couple of few little lighter things here on the shield. And the whole idea of this, and I stress it all the time when I'm doing the army painting series, is that you get things to a certain place, then you just pop them off the old dead paint jar here. Maybe you play a game or two or whatever with them, and then you put them back on there, and then you go to finish them off later, or just add some more later. And instead of, well, when you do it The other way, where you're just trying to paint one little part of the miniature, at least here, he's got paint in every area. So if you were to throw him on the table, at least he looks like he's got some paint on him versus, well, okay, he's got some paint on his cloak and nowhere else. Let's see. Yeah, it's, you just never know with these things, and I know that YouTube wants to become more like Twitch. They want, basically they want to have the discoverability of YouTube, but with, well, this more active chat. Because yes, there's a chat in YouTube, but it's just not like, there's no badges, there's no channel point rewards, right, for watching for an extended period of time. And like I said, I was trying to work on those during the week, and that just led to a whole bunch of frustration, so I kind of set that aside. I'm going to try and work on that some more this coming week, because it just, I saw some videos on it and it just did not quite work the way the tutorials, I guess, showed it as working, that was frustrating too. Here, let's get some red. Now, we've been working with the gold for a while. Let's get some red over here. We know this has to be for sure. Just get some of that into there. Let's start to get some lighter reds into the cloak. And again, we've got the clear red, which means there's a little bit of translucency to it, just enough to let me take advantage of all the darker reds that are already in place. I guess the other thing too with the freehand is it can be a way to actually save time. You don't have to necessarily paint quite as much of the cloak as far as, well, every last little fold in there, because if you're going to throw freehand over the top of it, kind of what's the point?
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gobja.
As Jinisk, I'll just say Jinisk. I'll just say gin. Which reminds me, I'm going to drink some here. Sorry about that. I needed to have something to drink, as I've been talking for 2.5 hours-ish. My voice only lasts so long, especially without something to drink. Let's make sure we get a little bit of that red reflected in here too, and here. And we're going to start to throw some of the clear orange into this, because a lot of times people will tell me, yeah, I'm trying to do the red and it turned pink, it turned chalky, and all this other kind of stuff. And I said, well, you used oranges and yellows to highlight it, right? And they said, no, I was using white. And I said, so what did we say about using white for red? To cry some more asked, what brush am I using? This is a number 8 round craft brush, and as you can see, you got $5 there. There's a dozen of them, and actually these are even cheaper. This was a set of 30 or something like that, and it was maybe $15. Basically, what happens is these brushes, they absorb all of this early work here, this rougher handling, which means that when I start to use, well, the Winsor Newton Series 7s, they don't get beat up anywhere near as much. Nisk, okay, thank you. Thank you for the correction there. And I know that I've had people look at mine and go, and they have no idea how to pronounce it. And I'm thinking, well, that's fairly straightforward. And then I realized, well, you can only partially see what the heck is going on. It is definitely, it depends on, I guess, how busy you are looking at your painting thing. I know there's some where it's really more, they're checking out the chat way more, and it's easier to kind of keep track of that. But again, we're using orange. Oh, thanks, Nisk, appreciate it. Yeah, well, we've done 2 figures that we've been working on so far. So this was the first one that we did, and then we were messing around with our second one over here, and now we were on to a little bit of Lannister here. Just a little bit of Lannister so that we can get ourselves a couple of things. I want to do freehand on the cloak, but I also want to show people how to do red, how to do some gold, and how those basically reflect off of each other. We're using the Reaper Clear and liner paints along with a couple of the Pro Acryls. Yeah, gin is definitely good. Well, we're gonna have to buy some more of that soon because I know Kathy likes her gin and tonic for her stream sauce, as we like to call it. Again, I'm gonna keep dipping into the orange there. Eventually, we'll use some clear yellow, and you can see it gets lighter, but it's not really turning orange so much. And because we do have the orange in here, we could mix a little bit of the maiden flesh to give it some lighter, some opacity. You can see we're using the big old brush here. Lets me blend quick. If I was to use, well, this to paint all of this, A, it's going to take forever. B, it's going to be 1,000 little brush strokes. And C, that means that there's going to be, well, brush strokes, and it's not going to be quite so smooth either. Let's see. Oh, yeah, thanks, Cosplaying Kitten. I don't know if I've had a chance. I painted one of these Jamies here as a commission thing, but I haven't had a chance to paint one for me yet. So this one will be...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun.
This one will be for me as Shaza Gaming follows. Thank you so much for the follow. It is appreciated. Definitely appreciated. We're going to just get working up our cloak a little bit more, and then at a certain point we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to start working on the gold armor again. Also put some values on his face. See, look at this. I can just take some of that paint away. Now, of course, the deeper we go into the stream, the more I'm unable to keep track of just how much time I might be painting on a given thing. So here, let's do some stuff with the hair, because that's got to be more of a blonde type of a color here. Let's just do that. Going to hit this, and then we're going to throw a little bit of a sepia glaze over that. Maybe even give it a little bit of a, ironically enough, a purple tone. Now I think I had to, yeah, some of the hair had to be sacrificed for mold lines. All right, let's do our little bit of sepia glaze over the top here. So you can see we kind of work both ways. I added in that light, and then quick glaze over the top. Quick old glaze over the top. Now, let's see what we can do here for some of these. There's a bunch of different straps and scabbard type things here. So let's get some. I'm just going to make those darker for right now. We'll bring those back eventually, but I want something that actually will contrast with the gold. And now that we've kind of established those larger areas, well, then we can grab a smaller brush and maybe start to work a little bit finer here. So let's throw in a little bit of that maiden flesh there. And then we start to do maybe some tighter refinement on things. Maybe not everything quite so rapid. I guess to keep in mind too, I'm usually working on a bazillion figures at once. The gin of choice has always seemed to be the Bombay Sapphire. I don't know if I've ever actually had any other type, but that's kind of a favorite for Kathy. I've got to get myself some Riesling.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Soul Stardust follows. Thank you so much. And I think for me, I got to get me some Riesling. That'll be my target stream beverage, I believe. I'm gonna just try to get a little bit of the green there. Now let's go here with some skin tone a little bit more towards the red. And then let's throw a little bit more of our clear yellow back out here, like you do. Again, that's the Reaper clear yellow. And let's see what we can do now to...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
As Skull Crusher, thank you for the follow. We're working on some gold non-metallics here and our red cloak. So we're kind of combining these two great tastes that always go well together. Because who doesn't like themselves some nice NMM gold and some nice deep rich reds next to it. And then see now once we start to introduce some of these lighter highlights here, when we go back and reintroduce some of the darkest darks, that's going to have some nice sharp contrast. Nice contrast. And look, we got to start to think sky, or even with gold, especially with gold, because it's pretty darn shiny. It's going to be like that chrome metal that I keep showing on the Lannister halberds there. Here. Let's do a bit more. Let's see what we can do. And again, apparently the things that you have on your elbows for protection, those are referred to as cooters. There's a reason for that name. I'm sure there is. I do not know what it is. I just know that apparently that is what it is called. I'm sure it'll take me 2 seconds of Google search to find out the exact reason why. And I'm going to, so I'm just going to find a few more brighter lights here. So see how the gold starts to, let's do our chain of lights. So we're going to have lights here, then we've got to have them here as they reflect on this part. We're going to need some red reflected light as well. See, we've already got that on the cooter, such as it is, or such as it's called. And we need some of our lighter gold over here. Again, thinking about almost a bit of a horizon line there. We're going to go back in with the darks and really reinforce that. Now let's grab this brush here. Let's try and do a little bit more on his face if that is possible. I know it might be blocked by his shield, ironically enough. Oh, hey, there's Kathy in the house. You're going to get dual wapples right here. Now, tomorrow Kathy's going to be doing her More Than Dice podcast. So I have to leave enough of that gin behind so that she can have that for her podcast. Can't use it all, so I got to get me some Riesling. That is, all of a sudden, thought of it yesterday, and now that's all I can think of is having a taste for Riesling, which is also commonly referred to in the Wapo household as Rails wine, because when we go to play either Australia rails or India rails or lunar rails or Mars rails, that is what we consume. I've got some of my white over here. So yeah, I could see the neat comps, but for whatever, and I was watching Genuine Vision, and every time he has to paint those things, he'll go, I forget, and then he goes, oh yeah, that's right, it's called a cooter. I have no idea why, but it's called that, and I'll hear him say that over and over again during his stream. Now let's do a little bit of something down here on his shoes. We're also gonna fool around with a little bit of reflected light here again on the inner portion of the armor. Here, let's get to, again, this is more green than anything else. We'll also get some purple into this too. Let's see, just one vowel away from being caps. I think you've been hanging with Janet. It's a cowder, not a cooter. Well, I've heard him pronounce other things in interesting way. Maybe it's just, well, maybe it's the Scottish pronunciation. Well, there was actually somebody who I would watch their battle reports for Song of Ice and Fire, and he would always pronounce corpse pile as corpses pile. And for the longest, I didn't even know what he was talking about until he was pointing at him. I'm like, what in the world? And I guess he just, when people asked him about that, he just said, well, because I'm Scottish or whatever, and that's my accent. I thought that was kind of wild. Here, let's get a little more reflected light onto his face here. I'm even going to use some of that green into his hair. Certainly going to get some of the faded plum into his hair, because what's better for blonde hair than purple? No, he does that sort of thing quite a bit. Yeah, let's get some of these nice little strands and bands here into his face. And now before we forget about it, so I'll go back to that freehand, which we had over here on our second pyro unit. There we go. So that pattern there, let's see if we can generate that onto Jamie over here real quick. We'll just throw that on here. And we're going to start out with, again, with more of a sepia type of a color here. And this is where things get interesting, because we've got to have this go over all of these folds. So we got 2 parallel lines, like you do. So 2 parallel lines there. Now we've got to offset these lines. Like that. So you see how these lines ended here, up here, and then the lines began down here. We got to offset those again. Offset them again down here. Like this. It's so easy to just start a design with a pair of parallel lines.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thanks, Builder76, for the follow. It is appreciated. It is definitely appreciated. Now, what kind of I have to decide, what do I want to do on this part of the cloak? For freehand wise, let's maybe switch this up a little bit here. So we'll do we got one line here. Let's have this.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
As we got ourselves a follow from, let's see, DHGO. Oh, actually, I should know what that is. Because I've seen that in other chats before, so I apologize if I screw up on the pronunciation. You can always say, hey, it's supposed to be done this way. Because that is just fine. Now what we've got to do here is we're going to divide this into some sections here, like you do. There we go. So divide it into sections, and then we're going to do that little diamond pattern in the center. Like you do, and just drop a little diamond in the center of all of these little rectangles. Where's the next? Here we go. And remember, we're starting off with the more subdued color here so that we can actually add some lights in later and essentially shade our freehand. Because remember, the freehand, we don't want to be, I don't want to beat people in the face with it. You're not trying to bludgeon them with the freehand. You're just trying to treat them to a little bit of freehand. I mean, there's nothing wrong with bludgeoning at a certain point. But, oh, it's Big Bad Bee. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining our little escapade here, our Songapalooza, which, oh man, that's what I was going to have a little banner for the top of the screen that said Songapalooza. Oh well. But look at this. By leaving the other stuff alone and just by getting some lighter yellow on this, all of a sudden we have started to shade our freehand. Kind of no fuss, no muss. And it's already drawn out, so you can see how that stands out more than this. And we're going to do the same thing right here. Same way. That slightly lighter yellow color over a sort of like a, I don't know, kind of a mid-tone yellow, I guess. And then we'll lighten this up even more. See if I don't like that, and just kind of boom, I'm just going to wipe it away. Now we're going to get here into some of our lighter version of this. A little more yellow. One more step up here, and that's going to give us basically our freehand as far as the lights and darks is tracking the shading that's on the robe. So it looks like it's part of it as opposed to it's just kind of, well, randomly floating on it. Floating freehand is usually not so good. Probably something you're looking to avoid. Oh, see you later, Heather Day. Appreciate it for joining. And oh, Mickey Vengeance, how you doing? I got a question from Neufel Queen. So I already answered this, but what palette are you using? It's a wet palette. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll show you in just a second. Here, let me finish off with this little line. It's very simple. It is a Chinese food container with a piece of parchment paper and a chamois sponge. And I'll show you in just a second. So now we've got some shaded freehand, no fuss. So this is normally your cover, right? And this is normally where your food is. Cover, sponge, chamois sponge, and then just a piece of parchment paper and some water, and voila, you've got yourself a handy dandy wet palette. And it stays wetter for longer. It doesn't get the mold in it the way the other ones do. So do we have the homemade wet palette? Hello,
little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, thank you for the follow, Haku. We're going to be doing some oils later on. I've got these guys prepped for that. So some of the Targaryens, some horsies, right? A good subject for oils. We will do the oils on that kind of in the evening session. This is sort of the daytime session, I guess. Let me make sure I've got all of the there are the Reaper glows. Okay, so Did they actually do fluorescent paint? Because if they did, somebody's going to get a spanking because they said, nah, nobody will ever buy those, or we're not going to do those because other companies already make them and it's just too expensive, too tough to make them. So if those are indeed fluorescent paints, somebody's going to get a talking to. But in any case, I really do enjoy the Goldens here because they do some really fun stuff. So we've used them for a lot of different things. We've done this. On the YouTube channel, I've got tons of object source lighting. I get like this. That's got the fluorescence in there. Again, it's not about glow in the dark. It's just about making those brighter. And let's see, Mickey says we call it a triggers broom. It's the same broom but with a different head and different handle. Now I've got some of my, again, my lighter golds here. We're gonna...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
We've got a follow from Yukio. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. But it's almost about time to actually start to do some, also add some darker, add a little bit more darks in the golds as well. And we'll do that in the form of some purple here. So we're going to take some of our clear blue, some of our clear red. We'll make ourselves a nice, deep, rich purple.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
And we got a follow from Simone Kalb. Thank you very much for the follow, and I apologize if I do ever butcher a name. You can always let me know and say, hey, it's pronounced this way. I do not mind that at all when someone kind of gives me the, what is that, the phonetic pronunciation. That's always helpful. Then we get that blood channel there. Let's start to, again, we're going to start to throw in some of our darks for a go. We have plenty of middle tones. We even got some lights. Purples and greens. We already added the greens right early on. So we're going to start doing some of the purples here. And as we do that, then our lights become that much lighter, that much more dramatic. We get those hard edges that we're looking for your metallic instead of just an endless series of mushy lines. You don't want mushy. We want separation, we want definition. And that is what we're going to do now. Let's do almost a little bit of a horizon line here. And see how that's broken up along that edge? A very important thing. Really important. Now let's see. The golden paints are, I think it actually will say here too. So it is it's a high flow acrylics. And I've got all of the different fluorescent ones there. I think, yeah, I've got the magenta, I got the gold, or the yellow, got the orange, I have the green, I even have the blue. Oh, speaking of oil paints, and this I have not had a chance to make an oil brusher out of these, but yes, there are even fluorescent oil paints. And I've got the green and the orange to start with. So that's going to be really fun. I am looking forward to those big time. Now let's do the same thing on our shield here. We need to get some strong darks on our shield here. Start to bring out some of the rivets here. And like I said, you can spend as much time as you want refining these. I could spend hours more on each of these figures, but for here, some of that stuff you wouldn't even be able to see or notice that that's what I'm doing. So that is why I've kind of focused on the essentials here, like defining that top edge, and then right here, a couple of little things to indicate a horizon, not a solid line across there. That's what I used to do back in the day until I realized, yeah, that's not quite how that works. That is not quite how that's supposed to work. I'll go quick check the chat up here again. Are you using Vallejo paints? Not using any Vallejo paints. We are using basically a combination here of the Reaper Clear and liner paints. And then we've also got some Pro Acryls out here too in the form of the Faded Plum, Faded Ultramarine. You'll see some of those other ones migrate onto the palette. And what I'll do is I'm going to be going back to start some other figures again. That's kind of the point of this, is to basically every hour-ish or so grab a new figure, do another type of technique on it, or another type of color. Like in this case, we wanted to do red and gold. Eventually, I want to, like I said, break out the oils. Last time I used Vallejos was a long time ago. There goes the neighborhood. Let's see. I want to make sure that we've got some cosplay. You have to. It inspires me to do more, and then makes it feel so underdeveloped. We went through that too. I'll never forget when we thought we knew what we were doing with basing, and then we were introduced to Cool Mini or Not, and all the folks that painted there, and we said, "Whoa, you can." We had no idea. We just didn't know. And that's what got us just bound and determined to try and...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Darian Dill, thank you for the follow. It's appreciated. But from that point forward, we became obsessed with basing and just trying to find something that would, well, kind of distinguish us too from all the other really nifty bases out there. And that's where the Sculpey stuff came from. Because we are still pretty much the only folks that do stuff like this. Let's see. I want some of those, the liquid text. I don't know if I've ever tried theirs. I don't think I've ever tried theirs, but let's do, I am looking for, here, let me just move some stuff here. Boom. So again, basing, this is the kind of stuff that we sort of just became known for. Cosplaying kittens. So that's, did you notice the other emotes that are in there now? There should be at least 2 new ones. So again, same idea. That is just literally the Sculpey with a painted design on it. Now you can also take that. This is a little bit of what I was doing. See the sandy base? You'll be seeing that. And these are some of the units that I did for my army painting series. Now we're going to go back to our thing here, our actual schedule program. I did not have time to set up any more. I wanted some more pictures of some of the song stuff to set up. I do have some slideshows, but if you check out the Instagram channel there, or Instagram page, not channel, what am I talking about? There's a whole bunch of finished pictures there. A whole bunch of finished pictures. So now I can actually get in here. I'm going to throw in some of our lighter highlights right along the edge of our gold. And see, it's that chain of lights again. If every piece of it is highlighted equally, it just kind of starts to fall apart. There's no focus for it. Get some more of my lights here. Let's do some even lighter effects on Jamie's hair up here too, because we can do that there like you do. Get some lights over here on his hair. Now something up here that I've got to do something here. I'm going to actually get some oranges into this, because now red and green, opposites. I need to get some of that into my gold. It's kind of a interesting way to get some extra contrast. And I will show you something here that's, again, a recent tutorial video. Where'd you go? There you are. So this is all about painting whites, and you can see we've got like a turquoise here and sort of a red over there. That's a way to get contrast even in whites. Look over here again, you can see there's a turquoise right there next to a pink. That is actually green next to red. Oh, thank you, Megan Kane. Appreciate it. Now here I'll show you some of the Cipher Lords in the flesh right here. So you see the freehand, how much that can add to something. That would have been a big old flat cloak with nothing much going on. That's a pretty simple freehand pattern, actually. It's really nothing. It's an eye. It's an eye with a little bit of a dragon scale pattern. But boy, does it add an awful lot. Oh, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Let's see. So Mikey says something. Overwhelmed by the past seems to go on forever. Well, let's see. We've been on this miniature painting journey for almost 20 years now, and
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
as nonstop, and I'm going to pronounce it nonstop, follows. Thank you so much. Now we're going to get some green. Again, we're thinking green versus all of that orange. Look at that. Little touch of green in here. And it's never ending, because Kathy and I, we found some other painters doing some things with the non-metallic metals that just gave us ideas that hadn't really crossed our minds before. But we saw what they were doing, and we said, well, maybe we can incorporate that into ours, and each of us has been doing that along the way, just trying to figure out, okay, what were they doing there? And how do I get that into my stuff as well? And I guess you have to be able to enjoy that process. I know some people, well, here's the thing too, is that they'll find their one way of painting, and it works every time, and then they keep doing that, and then they get bored. Because you can't keep doing the same thing forever without your brain just kind of going, again, really? This is entertainment for you. Did you not do this 5 years ago? So that, I just give that a consideration there, that sometimes change can really be beneficial for your psyche long term. It can be scary short term. There's no denying that. Now we developed this freehand over here on the back. Oh, thank you, Kerjixi. I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, well, hey, spark my ganja. When you're as old as Gandalf is, if anything sparks your ganja, I guess you are very pleased and very happy about that. Something to celebrate. Oh, man, cookies. I know what's for supper. I know what's for supper. I forgot all about the cookies. I want me some cookies. And I do believe these are going to be peanut butter cookies today. Now let's get this. Yeah, let's get to some of this purple here. Purple and green together, they make a really nice gray. Not that kind of dead gray. And for all that is good and green in this world, as certain hobbitses would say, please do not waste 50 some odd dollars of your hard-earned money to buy a set of gray paints. Just take green and purple and mix those together, and you will get lovely shades of gray. And by shades of gray, I mean more than just dead flat gray. You'll get a gray that maybe has a little more green in it, a gray that has a little more purple in it. But right now we're looking for some sky blue in here. A little touch of sky blue, and let's get the other side of this blood channel now. Now, some of the paints have been out here for a while. You can see my homemade wet palette has been keeping these things usable for quite a long time. I'll just get the other side of Mr. Blood Channel over here. Like you do. Let's get a little bit of smoothing on that. On the other end of this, I'm going to actually throw a little bit of that grayish green over here. There we go. And you think, what the heck is going on with all that? Well, I'll look back at this is our mountains man here. Oh, thank you very much. I love doing, well, things like this. See that pink and blue there? Now let's do this. This is something that's one of my favorite things to do. Haven't done it at all yet. We've been doing this like 3 hours and haven't done this once yet. So boom, we kill the color, right? You see there's not a whole lot of difference there in the shading there. It gets a little lighter here, not a lot of difference. But as we bring this color back, all of a sudden now we get this contrast of the pink and then the blue, right? The same thing happens in his armor. So as we kill the color intensity, you have shading there, but you don't have the pink and the blue contrast. That second type of contrast is, do I have a Thunderdome thing here? Oh, hey there. So be sure to follow Thunderdome Drew. He does, and he does lots of fun. He'll kind of take pictures. If you send him pictures of your stuff in his Discord, he will do a little analysis for you and give you some helpful hints. So definitely check out Thunderdome Drew. Give him a follow for sure, and a subscription too, for that matter. Here, let's get. Let's not forget our freehand that we were thinking about over here. So we're trying to jot something down in this area. Wasn't quite sure what we want to have going on. Now let's see. When you try to mix your own miniatures, turn out brown. I just want to get caught up on thing. Green and purple better than gray and white and black. It was actually, if you go to the Instagram page and you see the Reaper, the gigantic Reaper Bones dragon, that was essentially painted almost entirely, except for the object source lighting, with that whole idea of gray and green together, or gray and purple together, or green and purple together, sorry, to make that gray. Now we need to do something here. I'm going to throw a little bit of a freehand in the corner here. I'm trying to move this so you can see what the heck I'm doing and not be blocked by a sword. I think you can still maybe see that. At least I hope you can. Now let's get some kind of a shape inside this. I apologize if it's blocked by Jamie's sword there. I'll try and move this for you here and there so that you can get a better angle at it. And look at that, just a couple little swirls here. It's simple, it's nothing complicated. Actually, speaking of freehand, Thunderdome Drew, did you get Robin's freehand all done on the book there? Because that was looking really cool. The genie. That was looking fabulous. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's we've been, let's see, this is actually the third figure that we've done. These were the first two that we tried, and we were using, kind of going a bit blackened steel on Stannis over here, and then Renly had more of the same kind of stuff that we did on the other Stag Knights. And I thought, well, maybe people want to see a little, maybe example of the gold. So I thought I'd throw some of that out there. Again, this is some of the green here. And it's a grayish green. I'm going to use some of that here too on the, because we got so much in the way of browns and other things. If some of the straps and such here have a little green on them, that also could be helpful. Actually, I think I'll show you maybe some of the Reaper ones and show you the impact that the purple and green grays together can have. Sorry about that. I'll make this bigger here. Aha. So those grays that you see there, none of that was gray. That was just various, that was blue liner and maggot flesh and purple and green mixed together. And we get a little bit closer, you could see those grays, there's more life to them. There's a little bit of cooler color in the gray. And this is another case where green and purple are good complements to each other. So that's another, actually these are all just Reaper Bones miniatures here. Then another Reaper Bones, you can see the gray in his cloak, because some parts of it are more yellow, some parts of it more green. And his hat, all of that stuff kind of looks like gray, but it's gray plus. There's a little bit more to that gray. Always give the viewer a little something more to look at. And look at this, we can maybe even use some of this purple here as a little bit of a highlight on our green. Let's think of some kind of a, maybe some kind of a little freehand thing on here too. Let's see what we can come up with. So there's a little bit of an extended diamond shape. Just a little something there. Another little diamond over here. They're just doodles. I mean, it's literally like we're just kind of doodling a shape on there, which sounds kind of wrong in a manner of speaking. Yeah, let's try to pick out some parts of this here. A little diamond inside of our diamond. A little bit of a lighter highlight on the side here. Oh, let's I think that's supposed to actually be armor there. So plenty in this armor here. Yes, it's gold, but my goodness, there's orange next to green. We're going to do some more of the orange over here. Straight boom, right there. I think we're going to get a little bit of our orange over here on that top side of the shield. That certainly needs some kind of bright, almost horizon line type light. So we've got all in this area here. I'm going to juice this up a bit. To Gandalf looks angry. Oh, thank you very much, Cosplaying Kitten. Appreciate it. Let's see. And Gandalf looks angry. Yeah, so I think we've been painting on this guy for an hour, maybe. Maybe that much. Probably not even that much. I guess that's why I try to always kind of promote that idea that miniatures don't necessarily have to take a bazillion hours. You can if you want. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. That is just fine. Oh, let's do something in the way of some more reflections here. Let's get some more of the red happening here. This is that clear red. But remember, the reflections, you don't want those to be lighter than the original color they're reflecting. That's really something that I learned in 2D art. And then I've just kind of carried it here to the miniatures. One of these days I'll try and get to do some regular 2D painting here, because that would be fun. It would really be the ultimate Bob Ross challenge. Oh, well, hey, Kendon, how's it going? And I'm going to look for a bit. Well, that's fine. I've definitely done the lurk thing as well. So if you see the I'll be back sign on the screen, that's just me going to get some food and use a certain facility. But I do promise to return. Now let's get a little bit of definition on this bit. We haven't really messed with this stuff at all here. Not since we first started painting this guy. And we're going to take some of our sepia over here and create a few, actually a little, darken down some of that freehand just a bit. I know you can't see it, the sword is in the way. Well, thanks again for joining in. This is going to be, well, this is the earliest I've ever started, that's for sure. And the idea is to just kind of keep doing this into the evening hours as well. Well, I guess we're in the evening hours, technically, because it's 5:27 here. I know in some circles that is called late afternoon. I call that early evening. But it's always wapple o'clock. Because it's somewhere, it's wapple o'clock. And I'm just going with that. Because I can. How about, let's see if I can, I think I can get to his eye over
Hello,
here.
little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Seafalls Gamer, thank you so much for the follow. Now the other thing too to keep in mind is I'm basically kind of painting in the dark here because this is my normal light. We'll turn this on. Boom. So you guys see what happens. It gets all burned out for you guys. But if I keep the lights turned down, then you guys can have a way better, the lights don't burn things out quite so much. So that's why I always kind of have to go back after doing one of these things and then kind of finish off those areas of the figure later on so that I can actually see what the heck I'm looking at. Now here, I'm going to go, let's do some of our purple over here. Let's get some of the, that's some of the faded ultramarine, making ourselves a little bit of a purple here. Gotta start putting this into some of our golds here. We've been remiss. Let's rectify that. There we go. Going to get this down into the channel here. Solidify that some more. I'm going to double down on this lighter green over here, just cause. There we are. Let that start to wander over to the edge of the sword blade where we lighten this up, looking to do a little more of an edge on that sword. There we go. And I'm thinking I would like to see some more sky blue on that sword blade. Let's see if we can make some here. I'll see if I can find one of the Cipher Lords to show you what I'm talking about here. Oh, is this going to be one of them? Nope, that's not the one. Ah, here we go. I think this will do it. So yeah, that's the kind of blue that I'm looking for right there. The stuff that you got on the end of that blade. Put this on the end of the sword here. Can you see that? I think so. There. And then we can lighten that up too. Let's do that. Now I've got basically no, I always like to have multiple transitions here, and we're going to start doing that over here. That's more like it. When the sword blade gets to be this long, I like to kind of have a dark to light to dark to light, kind of, like I said, multiple transitions. And I'm gonna double down on that a little bit more even here. Right in there. And then we'll do our thing where we turn down the saturation, and we'll see how all of this has influenced our results here. I'm going to make this channel even darker, like you do. There. And I am going to also grab a little bit of my clear. Oh, this is it. Yes, we have forgotten. This is another thing I like to do to really make things like gold extra juicy. So we're going to throw out some of our fluorescent here somewhere. How's about over there? This is where things get kind of fun too. And this is going to be almost a little bit like a glaze, but there's no water involved. There's just the gold itself, or the fluorescent yellow, and that is from, again, that's from Liquitex there. Here, I'm going to grab a different brush to mess with this. Might even throw a little bit of the fluorescent orange out there too. I might just do that right over here. Again, not to make things glow in the dark. That is not the purpose of it. But what it is going to do is just give me that extra kick. A little extra boost to just the overall brightness of the color. And see, look at that. All I'm doing is just brushing that over the top. That's what I've been looking for. And yes, while I use the fluorescent paints from object source lighting a lot, gold is another one of those colors where I like to play with the fluorescent. See, now I've got sort of more of a fluorescent, almost an orange type of a color here. Let's get some of that on his back, on his sword hilt, a little bit of it. So again, that really spices that up, and that's that. So just ever so slight fluorescent yellow, and it's really fantastic. You put it over like a lighter color, so all of a sudden your kind of white highlight, now it's got a little tint to it. Here, let's do that same thing down here on his leg. Like so right here. That's going to give that some life. But now we've got to, let's not forget about the green, because we're getting down towards the ground here. And we're thinking about reflections again. So here's some of our purple. We're thinking about that. Also here, a little more reflected light on the underside of his knee. Also thinking about some lighter reds here. Just on this. Maybe even here too. But there's, see, even a little bit of the fluorescent paint is still in that brush. So now it's starting to, see, it kind of gives those reds just a little bit more of a boost. And as I said, it's not meant for, it will glow in the dark. If you hit it with a black light, it does glow in the dark. I found that out. We just, out of curiosity, once I was doing water effects, and it was the kind that cures with the UV light. And sure as heck, that UV light definitely made it glow in the dark. It's more just about how much. Look at this. Here, let's go with some more of the orange here. Let's do that. Let's do that. And we're going to put it right over here. We're targeting this area with it. So look at how that just really gives that some more life. Oh, Seafall's Gamer. Oh, thank you. It's what's wild is it's really just on the palette. There's not that many, right? There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we basically put our 10th and 11th colors out on the palette. But boy, when you let them interact with each other like this, so there's some more of that orange right there. A little spot right over here. But we got this, again, this purple over here that's kind of a gray. Keep this where you can see it, hopefully. Now we also, okay, we're always talking about reflecting red. Well, we need to do that over here too. So first I see that I've got a little bit trim here that's gonna, there we go. But we've got to get some reflected red, and that's right back here. Let's see if we can do this. Bang, right there. Can you, I think you can see what I just did right there. Now I've also done, actually speaking of Jamie, here he is. So this is a dark sword figure. Now this was done actually with metallic paints, and by metallics I mean mixing a metal medium into the paint. So see that red reflection there on his armor? It's TMM. That's actually just the metal medium mixed with the red. So even here, that is not the metal reflecting it. That's actually painted on. See that red on his armor right there? We're doing the same thing now on this guy, but it's got the label of non-metallic. Here, let's get some red on that too. And we're also going to, let's get some, I need another little, kind of almost like a striation here again on the armor, because we've got, there, that's better. And we need a little separation with this too. Let's just do that right here. Again, they're one-piece figures, so sometimes things kind of happen with the details as things get filed away, quite literally. Now, I'm going to get some highlights on the glove here. Again, we've been using this kind of a grayish green here to highlight the gloves. Let's continue with that. Oh, Big Bad B has to head out. Yep, I am definitely going to be back later. Let's see. Kenan asks, is there going to be oils? There will be oils later on. In the evening session, we're going to be on the Targaryens here. We're going to be hitting these guys with the oils because, hey, perfect subject for the oils. In this early stage here, I just wanted to be able to show people as many different types of things as I could with the acrylics. And then I figured when I come back later on, I'll just be a brief pause here so I can, eat some cookies for one thing. Then I can set up the oils. Instead of kind of having all of the acrylic stuff sitting around here, I can get that kind of out of my way, clear out some space. Now I'm thinking here on this sword blade, I'm going to take some of this green here again. Looking to get that, there we go. Just a little bit lighter right there. Thinking along the lines of our mountains man here. And actually this guy was done in oils. Speaking of oils, I did an entire unit of this for the Patreon page in oils. That was fun. I really had fun doing that. Now let's get a brighter green in here. We've been working with all this other stuff. Oh, look at this. We're going to take the fluorescent yellow, mix that in with our green. I'm going to pop that right here. So see, we just threw that green, fluorescent green line in between a fluorescent yellow and a fluorescent orange. Because why not? Why wouldn't you do that? As most people are like, what the heck is he doing there? Let's get this dragon scale here a little more solidified as well. Bit more solidification on that. There we go. We need to reinforce a few other. In some cases here I have to paint in the detail because maybe by mold lines or whatever something got wiped out detail wise. Also the earlier figures, they have less sharp detail than some of the newer ones because,
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Hey there, Anna. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Thanks for the follow. That is Gandalf obviously appreciates it too. Now here, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's grab some of a little touch of that fluorescent orange. Let's push this around on here. Again, it just livens up that color a little bit now.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
As we get a follow from Valkyrie. I wonder if this is the same. I hope it's the same Valkyrie. I've seen some of the latest sewing and painting projects, or crocheting, actually, I should really say. I think that is the word for it. Words have been escaping me today. But in any case, thanks for the follow. Now let's finally get to some of these fingers over here on our glove, and then we'll go back in with some darks as well. This is some of the brown liner over here. We will just get some separation between the fingers, and now
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Nope, now sewing. Okay. Natil, thank you very much for the follow. Let's get some action here on the inside of this shield. Maybe simulate some kind of wood texture in here. So we'll just start off with a little bit of a greenish gray. We can maybe find a few little wood grain stacks. And we don't want to go too crazy with this. This is ironically, I think that's the color we were using to do a bit of freehand with not too long ago. Speaking of freehand, let's see if we can't bring up the pattern that we did here in just a couple of ways. Just a few areas right here. Let's do another shot here on our little diamond shape. And then you can also go the other way too. Let's say you want to refine an edge. Sometimes it's easier just to draw in the pattern and then sort of erase. That's what we'll do right here. We're going to erase that little bit there. We'll erase that little bit over there. We're just going to clean this up ever so slightly. Ever so slightly here. Now I'm hoping to do a little bit of a slideshow. Let me see if this works. I'm looking for where is it? Here we go. Let's see if this works. So here's a couple of other units. So we've got, look at that, there's your shiny non-metallic metal. Look at all the reflections on that. More of your black and steel, and there's your white armor. I really had fun doing that. And there's your Knights of Cathedral Rock. Again, simple freehand patterns, but they can just be so much more. Well, there's some Starks for Nessie, and there's your Tully Cav. Freehand pattern again. Recognize that pattern. So we're back to our starting point here, and hopefully that didn't mess with my sounds too much. I think the last time I tried doing a slideshow like that, it seemed like my sounds didn't want to work anymore, or at least not the way I remembered them being set up. But I do try and... there you go. Yes, there were some Starks. I actually have done a fair amount of them. Oh, wait a minute. I got... Isn't that Great John right there? Yeah, and see it again with this sword with the sky blue and the kind of alternating between. This one was also done in oils. Yeah, this was done in oils too. Just remember that now. That was very fun. Oh, and of course, well, here, a difference in the freehand. So again, we got a little bit of a wolf there for Caitlin, right? And then our fighting dwarf right here. Oh, here's another example of the golds. So you can see there's the greens and the orange, all that kind of stuff. Bulos, how's it going? Yeah, this is this is the super elite pattern right here. This is the pinky up type pattern. That's posh right there. That is the most posh pattern you can possibly imagine for your wallpaper. That is Wapple wallpaper. I mean, you got to get that. Got to have that paper. Now here, I'm going to try and do some other little things here in the midtones and shadows. What am I talking about? Talking about actually taking some dark green here. So we're going to actually mix some of the clear green and the clear red together. We'll make a very dark green out of this. And you'd say, well, that's almost more brown, but it actually has some green in it. And what we're going to do is drop this down here into the deepest crevices of our so-called dark red, because there's nothing that makes this red stand out more than if there's greenish, if there is such a thing as greenish red. If that's in your shadow areas, all of a sudden this red's gonna come right out at you. But technically, still a green. That is actually a green right there. And we're gonna throw some of that into here too. Throw some of that down here. We certainly got to get some down into this inner portion of the cloak. It's another way of, again, getting that contrast. To get a little bit of color contrast instead of just all value contrast. Now another thing too, okay, we've been using a lot of warmer colors to lighten our red. How about we take a little bit of this faded plum over here, and now we have a slightly cooler highlight color. And let's do this right in here. Aha, you see how that now is, we're going to extend it out over here. We're thinking maybe cooler in the shadows. So this is the warm reds. Now we're going to get some variety in our reds too. Well, variety is not just, it's not just for gold, it's not just for metal, it's for everything. And all of this is just going to visually translate as red. Even though we're technically putting basically purple into this red, it's just going to look like red. There we go. And we can, let's add just a touch more again of that is the faded plum. That's the Pro Acryl right there. Bolos has, could you recommend videos on doing freehand? Actually, if you go to the YouTube channel, it's a not.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Marty Marr. It's appreciated. And check out the, well, actually, you can check out the Lord of the Rings playlist, because that has a whole bunch of freehand on it. That especially the Lord of the Rings has a lot of freehand, and even some of the basing tutorials, those will have freehand designs on it. And that's just, well, you know, James Wapple on YouTube. And if you go through the YouTube live playlist, you'll have, let me see. Actually, well, I just did this one here too. Now, this session might have gone the way of where VODs do in VOD heaven. But yeah, lots of freehand there. And I'm going to try and find let's see. Where did you go? Aha. So this is a YouTube live session right here. So it'll show the marble, and it'll also show that. So plenty of freehand right there. Well, there's definitely a lot. Now, of course, we've taken even to more extreme here as we get into the army painting series for the Dol Amroth Knights here. It's kind of like those Knights of Casterly Rock that you saw not too long ago. Here, let's continue here with this again, it's that faded plum here. Let's just keep going. Let's do that. Get some more of this light in here. And hopefully, you see that? See the difference there? Now, watch this. We're going to do our little thing where we kill the color again. We are now in black and white, but look it's just value. It's just value. You cannot tell until we do something like this and bring the color back. That we basically changed what was happening there. Yeah, oh my goodness, there's got to be hundreds of them on the YouTube channel, and that doesn't count all of the Patreon ones. That's kind of just the public access ones. And for those that are kind of wondering, well, okay, what about the past Twitch sessions? I've already got several that I took into my editing software. I just basically downloaded the raw footage and essentially remastered it, and all of these go up on YouTube. Now this one, it's going to be in a couple of parts. It's not going to be all in one big chunk like this. Oh, let's get some of this purple, our reds over here. We will do the same thing down over here. So again, this red is a different color, and it's going to go right around this edge because it's facing the ground like you do. Look at that. But it's not super noticeable. It's not super noticeable. Oh, yeah, this is James Wample on YouTube. There are, like I said, there are hundreds of videos on there. There's the latest video that just went live actually is a terrain video. It's a water fountain. Now you can see how that, look at this, we're getting even more. It's not just reflected light, but we changed the color of the red. We changed the temperature of it. I wish that I could get more folks to kind of consider this change in color temperature instead of just, well, I need to get the triad, right? Because we're working with Reaper paints, let's talk about triads. And I know people want to rely on the triads and stuff, but my very first Reaper, I think they were just starting to come out with triads, or maybe my second or something like that. And I said, well, those are great, but what if you could make your own triad out of anything? Because they're paint jars you already got. And we did that, and they were amazed at how many colors they could just mix themselves. And look at this, we're getting some reflected light into our shield here. This is that refinement that you can do. Early on, remember what this thing looked like? It was a complete horrible mess. Let's see, did these Twitch sessions go to the Patreon page? The Twitch sessions here, those go to the YouTube channel. The Patreon page stuff, that's those separate things like the army painting series, well, and stuff like this. So this is the Painting Dark Sword series. Oh, look at that pattern. It's the same pattern. So we basically got our same guy here, but one is in true metallics on the left and one is in regular non-metallic on the right. Now again, this is another, things like this that kind of work well for the Patreon page. So this is my latest one here. I've got my first layer of water effects on this. This is actually a third part. Oh, the North remembers. From Big J Customs. Now, oh, and it shall not end. What's the card from the Resurrection Queens? It shall not end upon my death or whatever. Basically the resurrection card. That is the one. And then, well, let's see. Northern Ferocity, right? That's another Stark. It's another one of those Stark shenanigans there. Hey, Big J, welcome into the house. Welcome to Wobble. This is, well, we have actually, I think the earliest I've ever started was something like 6:15. So we're still technically earlier than my earliest start. But look at the difference here. Let's get a little bit of the, again, this is the red that's got a little more orange to it. Bit more orange. And it just kind of fades over into that purple color. And then we got it over here. Look at, we got some more of that purple here. And that's the thing about the faded colors. The faded ultramarine and the faded purple, those are just freaking luminous. Now, those are going to feature prominently here when I get to this guy. Because we're gonna get to this little sorcerer right here, and I'm thinking you're going to see a lot of the faded plum, a lot of the faded ultramarine on that for sure. That'll probably be a Twitch session there, but I've got a whole bunch of, I got a Rubik Marines. That's pushing 4 hours. I need a nap before the night session. Yeah, that's the plan here. So yeah, so basically, I don't know, probably from 7 to whenever tonight. This is kind of how Fort Wapple works. And I've been trying to get Comini to understand that Fort Wapple never sleeps, that it just kind of keeps going. Yeah, see, look, there's our red reflecting there. All kinds of nifty reflection. We got some green in here that's going to reflect the ground. Let's get some of this onto the ground over here. Let's just do some of that. As you do. And who knows, maybe I'll even do some of the crushed glass on here, just so you get to see what that looks like and why we were obsessed with getting the purple here. Yeah, maybe, yeah, let's think about that. I think I can reach that from here. Now get a little more of the faded plumbing. I'm looking to just have it be touch lighter in some places here. Yeah, you could actually, if you wanted to do the texture on the cloth too, you can do that. Most of the time, I just forget about doing it.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Yeah, for me as you know, a person who has never seen the show or read the books, I have to basically kind of research everything. Let's see, thank you for the follow. Canul, it's appreciated. It's definitely appreciated. Let's knock this down just a bit. We don't want that to get too light, but we're looking for some more. A little more of my faded plum here. I think I want some on his cloak right there. I also want some on his sword. Underside here. I'm going to do this right again with that faded plum. I don't think you can even see what we're doing there, but it's there. Believe me, it's there. Here, let's get more of a transition here too. And sometimes that is all that it takes. Now here, I still want to do some more in there. I still need to get some more. Aha! I know it'll work. Oh, look at this. Let's throw some of this out there. That should give us a bright sky blue. Boom. A little bit of it right there. Mix it in with some of our maggot white and see what we get. That's nice and bright and intense. Maybe a little bit more of the fluorescent there. I'm really itching to try those fluorescent oils, though, that's for sure. I think those are going to be a blast. And I also have some cerulean blue. Speaking of sky colors, basically the color that I'm making right here, that is another one of my new oil paints that I got. As you know, I always recommend to start out with those basic sets, and then as you get used to them, and depending on your projects too, that's where you can add on. Oh, Trioxin asks if we ever stripped the minis. We just paint over them. The only time we've ever stripped miniatures were the ones that we got off of eBay or, you know, the basic like rescue missions where they basically put super glue over the whole thing, and we've stripped those. But anytime we just use it as an underpainting. I just paint right over it. Actually, sometimes it's really handy as an underpainting. Oh, let's see. Who makes those oil? Oh, Marion Street? Marion Street. That's about the easiest name I've ever had to find. But see how it's driving the camera bonkers? Look at that. That's what told me that it's fluorescent. So I'm going to open this up here. And I'll just compare it to, see how those both drive the camera bonkers? I was convinced that I just spent 15 bucks on, well, orange paint. And then I saw it, and I said, no, that's more than just orange paint. And the green did the exact same thing. So I breathed a sigh of relief because that one $15 tube cost almost as much as you could get an entire paint set for. of like 6 of the Winsor Newtons. Now, of course, those are just your regular old generic Winsor Newton colors. Speaking of which, it's time for a little bold titanium white from Pro Acryl here. We're just going to refresh. That is the one thing too we've noticed about the, well, and it's kind of a thing. It's not just us. The Pro Acryls don't necessarily love wet palettes. That's not their thing. They don't enjoy those quite so much. But what I do enjoy is seeing a little bit more of my bright highlight here and here. It's certainly right there too. It's better. Again, it's all part of this sort of back and forth. You do one element, you see where you're at. Like over here, we're gonna brighten up these things on the counter, not cooter, because we have been informed. I'm just looking, did you say you're painting the Rubik? No, we're not doing the Rubik Marine tonight. This is all about Song of Ice and Fire tonight because, well, technically, I guess it's still part of Cool Mini Expo. Hopefully there's still folks here from or started watching because of the expo. But yeah, this evening was supposed to be dedicated to Song of Ice and Fire stuff. During our regularly scheduled weekly programming, then we'll get into the Rubik Marine. Oh, the Rubik Marines, that's those are going to be, that's a Patreon army painting series. That's it. Yeah, that's going to be really fun. It's going to basically kind of reprise some of my old time Zinch Marines that I love so much. Here we got some brighter highlights there on our that's all in Sky. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Sky. I do appreciate it. I have to say, with the whole Twitch thing, I just assumed, YouTube channel aside, and all the other kind of stuff that and everything else, that I was going to be doing Twitch sessions for maybe 2 or 3 people for the longest time, and nobody would ever see them. But it has been really nice to actually see this many folks watching this early in the process, I guess, because I noticed I was looking at I was looking to see if I had all of the old videos downloaded, and I noticed that April 13th was basically the first real Twitch session that I did. So that's only a month and a few days ago, and I went, holy smokes, I had no idea that it was that recent. So essentially we've been doing Twitch for about a month. But it's all you guys that have definitely made this possible, and I do want to say thanks for that. And now we're going to add some of the purple in here too. Yeah, let's see, there's the Rubik Marines. There's, well, I think you've seen the Dull Amroth Knights. Then, well, we got to finish off our, what are the Warcry Splintered Fang. But then there's also the Sisters of Battle. Where did she go? Let me find her here. Aha! So here's another army painting series with my Sisters of the Raven. And yes, we're going to be doing those bases. And yes, we're going to be doing freehand like that. Is this a Valendar sighting that I just found? It's a Valendar. How's it going? Now here, let's show you a couple of just how different. Same exact type of base. It's just a Sculpey over the cork, but you paint it in different colors. You can give it, again, a whole different design. It goes from, these two have to fight if they're going to be on the screen at the same time. We don't want that. We don't want them fighting. Yeah, let's put our nun with a gun off to the side there. However, I'm going to get some of my bright green again, because nothing says gold like bright green. Just get a couple, look at that Right, so we have basically an orange. We're going to double down on that orange. We're going to grab some of this fluorescent orange here. It's going to go right next to that freaking green over there. Bam, like that. Boom. Like that. Now, where's my big old Egyptian dude? Because we did an awful lot like that right here. So we threw in some of the, this is a, I think this session you can still watch. I think it's still a VOD. Actually, this I just remastered this for YouTube here. And that was, we used the fluorescent paints on that one too. Actually, well, it's the Patreon page that lets me do all the army painting stuff. I couldn't do that. Otherwise, it would just be nothing but commissions. And basically, none of the commissions would be any of the stuff that you see. So it is really appreciated. Well, when you sign up for the Patreon page, if you do that Army Painter pledge, your $15 immediately buries you in about closer to 500 hours of videos now. So if you got time, if you've binged watched all of your Netflix stuff, well, you'll have something to binge watch again for a long, long time. Because even as you're trying to watch those, I'm making new ones. And now it's time to get a few lighter than light. And this got some of the fluorescent orange in it. We're literally working with some fluorescent paints here. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it, but it's in there. Oh, what the heck? I'm going to take some of the fluorescent yellow and we'll go crazy. Yes, using fluorescent paints to highlight a red cloak, where not long ago we were painting green. It's a new color, green-red. Hey, Nessie, do you think that green-red would be almost as powerful as faded ultramarine? Or is that sacrilege? Talk about, now they'd have to play together because purple and green make gray. Or is that's all that's left is the ash after faded ultramarine and green red have fought? And I'm going to do it too. I'm going to I swear I'm going to take one of my little jars here and I'm going to make green red. And I just want to see what people's faces look like when you say, wait a minute, what's green red? And then I'll make another one called red green. It's going to be like the Crayola crayons, right? There was red purple and then there was like blue purple or something, or yeah, we'll have to do something like that. Yes. We will do it. We have to have red green and green red. Oh, Valendar is getting ready to have some dinner. Oh, that's making me hungry. But there are cookies on the way. At least I hope there are. I think there's peanut butter cookies that are going to be headed this way. There, we're going to get some of our... That's the same, basically, highlight color we were using on our robe over here. Same highlight color going in here onto our shield. I want to get some more of the... Now this needs a red, but maybe a cooler red. Let's see what this does. Let's see what this, there we go. That's it. Boom. I'm going to double down on that even some more. Even a little bit more. Make that lighter. Poof. Right there. And I think I'm going to, yes, we will have a bit of reflection right there. We pause and we reflect. However, we also need, oh, there's some, well, I don't even know if you can see this panel back here, but I'm just going to throw some of my yellows onto that. And this too. I thought that was part of a cloak or something else, but I see it as actually part of the gold. So I have to throw just a touch of something here, there, like you do. Now that, oh, this whole area here needs again
Hello,
reflected
little
light.
hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thanks for the follow, Sydney Bridges. It's appreciated. It is appreciated. This, we need something in here. We need to at least, and that's kind of, this is, we're almost into palette sludge here. Almost into our precious, vital palette sludge color. And Drax in the house. How are you doing? Also, speaking of Nessie and Drax, you should also follow them as well. Be sure you do that. And so, Drax, are you still working on the Goblin Riders? I'm assuming there's still at least a couple more of those guys to go. But Drax is kind of a fellow late night Twitch streamer, and I get to catch his late at night, which is always really cool. Sometimes even get to chat in the Discord. I don't think, you know what the heck, I am going to even bring out a couple of strands of hair. Not many, just a few, just a couple. Yeah, his hair is lighter, obviously, but if it's just an endless sea of lighter tone, you're just going to lose all of cohesiveness, all shape. Just like we'll bring back this guy here. So okay, this is our, oh, and look, another type of marble. So that's like the third color of marble that you've seen. And here is your, an example of the whites, but there's more color. You got the purple, the turquoise, and then look at the cloak there. See where it gets down towards the marble. You could see it's become more of the marble color. Touch-ups on the goblins. Well, sometimes it starts that way, and then next thing you know, I know. Well, for me, sometimes oh yeah, there's that too. Or oh, wait a minute, that's what that thing actually is. Time for an adjustment. I'm going to refine this little pattern here. Then we tried throwing on the scabbard. So something you kind of sketch them out, and then you can refine them later. That's what we're doing now. Getting a little bit of refinement in there. Looking to find some sharper edges on a few of my armor pieces here. Like I said, so it's not just it's not just a one-piece figure, but it's also one of the older ones. And just by virtue of that, there's a little less of the detail in there to be found. Just a little bit less, but let's get some darks in there to kind of simulate a little bit of a wood grain. Now it's about a little bit darker here on our shield. So I think, well, no, actually, it's not going to be the longest stream because I think the longest one I did was 6. Now, in one day, this will certainly be the longest stream because we're coming back after some chow and some other personal maintenance. Oh, that's what I should have on the screen. Stepped away for personal maintenance. I do want to get a couple of, not too many, because the shield is kind of pointing towards the ground, so I don't want to go too berserk with highlights on that. However, I'm going to, so we've got our reddish reflection there. We've got our faded plum in here. Yeah, here, let's make this black and white. Hey, it's Zen for one. How's it going? You get to see this go into the black and white zone. Boom. So plenty of shading here. Look at that. With all the color gone, You still have plenty of lights and darks, even in this cloak, and then we'll bring back, start to bring, look at that, even here you can start to see, as we really start to restore that color, bam. You see the whole cools, warms are green-red, which is that's our new color. That's gonna be like the sensation that takes the world by storm, green-red. I can only imagine what the reaction of people is going to be when they see a jar of paint labeled green-red. Sadly, there won't be time to do that before the second part of this stream here as we go into the later evening hours. Oh my god, I've got to do that. I must do that. Let's see. Megan can always enjoy seeing the white and gray version. It really does. And actually, if you want to do the same thing yourself, you just take a picture of the thing with your phone and you bring it into your phone. Every phone's got some kind of photo app, and making it black and white is certainly one of the options. Do that with your miniatures when you're thinking, okay, am I done with this? Is there something I need to do with this? Yeah, take the picture of it, do the black and white thing, and you can see how much it reveals. It's like, it is the easiest way to look at it, I guess, with somebody else's eyes that aren't yours. And look at it, see, we can, so much more depth in that here. It's pretty much the way it's sculpted. It's basically a hair helmet. But now, by virtue of all of these, and there's purples in there, there's yellow, there's some orange in there, a whole panoply of colors in there. Now let's do something with this strap here that he's holding on to with his shield. There's a whole lot of nothing going on there. We got to make something out of that. I'm just going to actually grab some of the remainder of my fluorescent orange there. So yeah, even in the back part of the shield, we've got green over here. We've got some yellow next to it. That's where we're using the green and the purple mixed together to make that fun gray. Oh, well, catch you later. Nova Queen, I appreciate you stopping in and hanging out. Oh, and we have Avalena7 in the house. How are you doing? And we have Soccer Hip in the house. Welcome in. Welcome in. This is figure number 3, actually. Here was our first 2 that we did. We got some Baratheons here. We've got Renly and Stannis, and now we're doing a little bit of Jaime over here. It's like a chorus line, do-do-do-do, as they run around. Thunderdome's still in the house. But how are you doing, Evelana? we're going to do this again. Look at this. Now, this is a grayed down green, but if I mix the fluorescent yellow in there, it makes yet another type of green, which is perfect for golds. How often have we gone into this gold with anything when's the last time we used yellow on this gold? It's been a while. We've been using purple. We've been using fluorescent paints. We've been using greens. We've been using green-red. The brand new color that's going to the new color sensation is green-red. And we developed it right here live on stream. Oh man, Nessie, there's a new chapter of the Book of Wapple coming. Oh yeah, maximize results, not efforts. This is from last night's Creating Dioramas episode 2. This is what goes into making a video. So we still have one more segment to go yet. We haven't had a chance to get final details because we were waiting for our first layer of water effects to dry. So it's a little simple waterfall thing here using some cheap materials. It's the same tree bark that we used on this base here. Twigs, literally. Foliage, and then Liquitex heavy gel. No resin water or none of that kind of crazy stuff. Just very easy to handle. Simple Liquitex heavy gel. And there's other things you can use that for. like, where's our, boom, the pyros here, those flames on their bases, that was actually that same heavy gel used to make those flames. And how's about a little icicle action? There's some icicles. Oh, thank you for the follow, Sydney Bridge. It is appreciated. Uh-oh, Mike Disney says there's a dragon headed this way. And by the way, also follow Mike Disney for fabulous art, Pictionary, role-playing, all kinds of wonderful things. And it's actually an Oriental-style dragon, which I've never had a chance to paint. Yes, a really sweet Oriental dragon. That's going to be very fun. We will also paint that on stream here. Now, I'm going to actually make my brightness be a little lighter. There we go. Yeah, the icicle, that's on a bunch of my... Actually, go to the YouTube channel. There's a whole bunch of ice effects, snow effects. I'm thinking we're going to try and do that on Jamie here as well. Let's see if I've got some icicles on this one. And I just might. Aha. Yeah, see the icicles here? So it's another one of the Raptorix. Again, with the crushed glass, and there you see the icicles hanging off there. No, Mike Disney was watching the Wapple self-portrait video. Oh, yes, that's, well, here he is. Spell brush. Boom, boom, boom. There he is. And with this little bit of freehand, fluorescent paint scattered in amongst there. Yes, indeed. So, Mike, have you heard about the new color that we've created? Yes, it's called red-green, or green-red, or both. But that's the new paint color that is sweeping the nation right there. Now, how about a little bit of purple here? Let's see if we can't get a little touch of purple going on. I also do have, oh look, clear purple. Soccer didn't know there was a Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's called a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, and you've got your characters here, like say a Renly, and he's got certain abilities, and what those abilities can do is they can enhance your units. Like, let's say you put him, in this unit of stag knights here. That's going to change what these guys can do. And also we've got plenty of nifty cavalry units here. So this is what I'll be doing in oils later tonight. So these are some of your Targaryens here. So I'll be working on some of these lads.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, thank you for the gift sub. Thanks, Mike. It's appreciated. You know that. It's always appreciated.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, wait. That means stuff's going into the jar. So he's going to eat away some of that stuff that's in the jar. He needs that.
So say we all. So say we all.
So say we all. And thank you very much, Mike. It is appreciated. Oh, now here's another thing. I don't know if you got to see this.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, now Oblade is going to be courtesy of Mike Disney. See our faded plum in there. We taken the red and making it cooler here.
So say we all. So say we all.
As Nixon, he gets another gift sub from Art of Mike Disney. And again, thank you very much. Yeah, let's do our color kill thing again. Maybe that's what I should call it. But again, we go from just shading here. It's just shading until we bring back the color and it goes zoink, and then it becomes the magic purple. Hey, Raven Cat, how are you doing? Nice to see.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Soccer Hip. It's appreciated. Now, what can I do here? We got some of our, in the face here, we got some of the greenish tones, but remember, that's the faded plum and the green together Make a really nifty grayish green, but we're going to get even a little more of our reflected light here. I might even get a touch more of that faded plum. Let's lighten it up a touch, see what we can do here. Let's get that on his neck. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to do actually a little bit more. Hey, it's Asmodeus. How's it going? Oh, doing our waking up, working on the same Photoshop color alterations for a scheme for a battle mech. Those are really, there's so many things you can do, and obviously weathering and stuff is fun, but to me, anything that is a vehicle or a mech, I just give them a little bit of an expression there with that. It's like a freehand canvas, because you can put all kinds of insignias on there, even just just some plain old numbers and such. Yeah, a couple little brush strokes. Sometimes that's all it takes. Yeah, we still have Valendar in the house too. We still got him. Here, let's throw some of this lighter gray, and then we'll go back into our. We always have our titanium white handy here. That's the Pro Acryl, so it's got a little more bite to it. It's going to cover a little bit more. Boom, right there. Now, later tonight when I'm doing the oil painting session, so yeah, there will be another session. This is just kind of like the front half right here. We got more on the way. That's going to be the oils, and you will hear me say over and over again, and over and over again, and over again, always talking about thin paint over thick paint, but just being direct with the brush strokes. Do it and leave it. Don't be screwing around and tapping away at it, because that's where you're going to run into problems with your oils. Because the temptation is to try and, you want to do the mixing and the blending, but just like anything else, just like weathering on a vehicle or a mech, too much is too much, and it gets to be too much in a freaking hurry. It really does. Now I need, that's what I need. Speaking of my later weight over here, let's do this. And we need to get ourselves, boom, right there. We need that. That's what's been missing here. I'm thinking like, what the heck do I usually put there? That ain't there, and that's what it was. That's what it was. Now, yeah, I was sorry that there was the crazy tech issues there on the last episode there. What was the topic of that Pictionary going to be? Because the week before was video games, I think. I don't think I got a chance to see what the topic was going to be of this week's Pictionary. Because actually, I was filming that water effects video while you guys were playing that. Look at that. See, again, these multiple striations that happen. Now, do I want to, you know what? I'm going to play around here. We're going to take some of our fluorescent yellow, put it into our white. And I might even just a couple of spots here. Yes, we'll do this. By making this a little bit brighter here, it almost looks like it's kind of embroidered on. Oh, look, we could even do something like this. We could do little dots here. Now let's play with this. Let's play with a couple of dots here that go into the shadows. Look at that. So now, kind of looks slightly embroidered or brocade or whatever the word is. Whatever the word just might be. But I think that's kind of fun. Yep, it needed just that one last little bit, because there's just such an arc here in this shape. I think that brings it a little more. Gonna get me something to drink here real quick. And don't mind me. Now let's compare this to another. Somewhere, like, again, see the striations there, and we've got, again, in the, I'm going to try and bring in some more over here. Now try and bring in some more. We will take some of this darker color right here, and let's do that.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, Vecnon, thank you very much for the follow. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to see if I can get... Oh, never mind. It's right here. I don't know, kiddies. Do you want to play with some snow effects? Maybe we do. So we're going to take our palette. We're going to put this off to the side here briefly. Looky here. Looky what we've got. That is the very self-same crushed glass that you see here on this. And let me grab Mr. Giant over here. Same crushed glass that you see here. Ah, yeah, Raven Cat. I was kind of hoping to mess with this here, but here, let's play with this. Now, we could just do the snow effect. I'm going to actually throw just a little grass tuft on here. So here is it's kind of a dead winter-ish grass tuft. Let's just throw this on here real quick. Like, where do we go? We're going to go... Yeah, let's go there with it. Gonna get me a little bit of pin here. Stick this down. Boom. Like you do. Alright, so we got that. And then the rest of this will be some snow effects here. So we always want to have something to put this in. And there will be some, I don't know, safety tips or something along that line. A little bit of advice on that. I'm going to grab this container here because they'll show up a little bit easier. Let's move Jamie off to the side here. All right. There. Now, what we usually write on this jar, see that? Do not shake. What's the first thing we do when we grab a bottle of something? We shake it. You don't want to be doing that here, so Kathy writes do not shake on containers. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, and this is, yes, this is crushed glass. This is not like pretend crushed glass. It's real crushed glass. So eating this, licking your brush, all that kind of stuff, probably not advisable. Raven Cat's been using the Valhalla Blizzard, the Cry Ice and Snow, but, well, and here's the other thing, and actually there is a video, I just published it on YouTube just earlier last week. You can't really get you see how the blood effect has seeped into the snow? You just can't really get that. You just can't get that when you've got I tried with the Valhalla Blizzard. It did not work. It would not let me get the effect that I wanted. Now, we don't need very much of this, and especially when we're doing a small base, start with less. Less is more. So there's your water effects over there, your realistic water, and then the crushed glass, and you pour a little bit. You start with a little, and you add more later. Okay, that's going to be more than we could possibly need right there. More than we could possibly need. So that's where we're going to go over here, and we're going to make these two meet in the middle. Now, watch what happens here. Look at this. This is the other thing that Valhalla Blizzard cannot do. Look at that kind of melted snow right there. It can do fresh fallen snow all day. No problem. What can't it do? It cannot do that semi-melted snow. And I don't think I have the vehicles handy right now. But here, look at this. We keep mixing to the amount we want. Let's bring this up closer so you can see it. There, as you can see, it's a little bit fluffier because we've added more of the snow effect there. And you say, well, okay, what's going on with that brush there? It is perfect for doing this. And look at how crystalline that looks. I could take even a little more out of there. So it's like snow crystals instead of, I don't know, little white plastic balls. So it just looks more like, again, like snow crystals there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab ourselves another, grab ourselves a nice little clean brush here. And it can sometimes be a little funky trying to transfer this over. Here, let's do that. Let's transfer some over. And then you kind of have to sculpt it. All right, so we got our snow effects on there. Now we're going to sculpt with it. But see how it's translucent? That is what's amazing about this snow. You can't get that in any other snow effect except maybe for the, what are the little plastic balls? That literally, and I always forget what they are. I first saw them on one of Kathy Malat's videos, and I really loved those. I gotta try those at some point. There we go. Look at this. Look at that nice poof. A nice poof of snow right there. It's a highly technical paint term. A poof of snow. Oh, this is just look at this. Oh, let's see. Yeah, this is amazing. Look at this. See how it hangs off the edge right here? I could even get some of it like up on his hair and into his robe. Look at this right in here. Another place good spot for snow to accumulate. Look at how, again, the translucency of it. You can see the more I spread this out, look at how translucent that gets. You just do not get that with any other snow effect. Now, I also advise you don't put out too much of this at once because it'll dry on you relatively fast, and you'll have basically a big old sheet of glass on your palette, which is not really what you're looking for. So I just mixed a little bit of it. Here, let's get a bigger snow poof right there. Again, highly technical paint term, snow poof. Oh, let's do some right here. And now it doesn't have any real adhesive properties of its own. That's working with this stuff it's an acquired skill, learning how to position this so that it doesn't just kind of fall off the base. And the reason I'm putting the snow on here is just because the mold lines were so crazy on that foot. There's no way I could make those. No way I could paint my way out of that. So I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to use snow. And there's some more snow. So we've got snow on the grass here. Now you know I didn't go too crazy painting the base. There's a rock that's still showing through here. Still around here. We can go even more. And when this dries, you could do a second layer again. Pirate Poog asked what the material is. That is a two-part material. It's Secret Weapon crushed glass and realistic water. Now the realistic water you can use for more things than just snow. Well, you can use them for water, for one thing, for water effects. But if you mix these, say, with weathering powders, you get mud. Then that's really fun too. So let's say if we were to mix it with this, we would get a nice mud. And oh, guess what we did for this? That's what we did here. So I took the weathering powder with the water effects. You can see this crushed glass snow, right? But then when we got into this, but look at how it, see that wet snow? Look at that. You can see the water kind of reflecting there. Bang, right? Look at that.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun jar.
Oh, thank you very much for the follow, Rick Dude. I appreciate it. Oh, and look, see, here's the example of, that's the crushed glass snow on, look at this. You can see all the little tiny crystals there as the lights reflect on that. It is just, it's the neatest stuff. I absolutely love it. Now again, it only will last for so long on your palette, and then it's going to dry out. And again, it takes a little getting used to. Now the other thing too is you can actually make basically footprints as well. There we go. This is already starting to harden up. It doesn't take that long. Now here, look at this. I'll just show you an example of maybe snow that's a little bit more fresh fallen right here. So we'll let more snow work its way into this. And there's another type of snow. Look at that. Again, a little bit of the medium in there, or the water. Look at that. So now you've got an even lighter snow, or you have the melted snow. So more water effects. Put them side by side. So melted snow here, fresh fallen snow here. So let's say we want some more fresh fallen snow right here. We can just add that on. And then you see I'm kind of sculpting it with the brush. Look at this. I just sort of tamp that down. Do some more. Oh, let's do another. Add to this pile over here. What the heck? Why not? What have we got to lose? Again, all of this that went in, and as it dries, I guess if you want to call it, that is going to get even more translucent. Oh, we're painting the Winter Soviets. Well, that's pretty handy because, well, my second ever army painting series was on the Winter Soviet. Let me see if I can find some of my other ones here. They are around somewhere. But actually, you can probably see them on my Instagram page as well. But that's what I used on them for sure. Here, I'm going to get a little bit more of this snow effects here. Now, you could have blood effects onto this. You could even do footprints. I've actually done that, where there's literally footprints in the snow, which is just so much fun. Here, let's get a little bit beyond just the. There we go. A little more here. Throw some down here too. Again, this is why you have just a little bit of it out at a time, and then you add more as you need it. Let's see, there we go. Some underneath our. Now I'm not going to put any underneath there because you've got kind of a ledge right there. So hopefully, oh yeah, the play of the Winter Soviets. I'm still adding to that army. I'm still adding to that. And actually, we're going to be adding, this is a future, it'll probably be on Twitch here, if I can grab this. 1 second. Boy, this thing is heavy. Holy smokes. There we go. This is from Trenchworks. So this is also going to be for my Winter Soviets right here. The mighty T-35, the most completely useless tank of all time. However, it's big and it's cool. So yes, we'll be painting that. Again, it's a Trenchworks vehicle. That is going to be so much fun to paint. Really looking forward to that. Now let's see, where's my brush go? Here it is. Get rid of some of the excess here, and let's see if we can. You can see, look at how this is less translucent than over here. And this is more translucent. It's just thinner right there. I had the Vallejo wall texture earlier today. It's possible. They could be the same thing. I've never tried the two because it's been a while since I've had any of the Vallejo still water here. Let's see. Useless and cool. Well, actually in the game, it's pretty darn nasty because, well, there's not a lot of big, and there's no 88s, or not that many 88s around at that time of the war. So, and with all those machine guns on it, in a bolt action game, a T-35 can be kind of nasty and also cool. So to me, it's the best of all possible worlds. But I also have some regular, like some T3485s that I'll be painting. And I'm going to be throwing some tank riders on them, of course, because tank riders. Definitely want to be doing that. There we go. I also have some kitties that I'll be painting. Actually, I'm painting up some winter king tigers for the Siege of Budapest campaign that I want to do. I'm just going to add a little bit more of the snow into the depths there. And that's good to go. So there we have it. Look at that. Again, a nice translucent snow. Nice and translucent. Now I'm thinking I'm going to get a few more. I'm going to move my snow effects here out of the way. Just get, oh, and yeah, some of the blood effects here, if you're wondering what those are. It's kind of a combination of these three items there. Usually starting off with this, then move to this, and then this, because each one is darker than the next, and the GW stuff is the thickest of the three. All right, I'm going to close that shelf there. I'm going to bring out Mr. Palette again, like you do. Bang. And now, I really like the green down in there. I'm going to try and get a little bit more of that in here too. But also keep in mind there is actually now a little bit of crushed glass in the water here. So what I generally do is let the water evaporate, and then the crushed glass just solidifies in the bottom, and then you then you can throw it away, because now it's just like a little piece of glass and not in the tiny little droplets of glass, I guess, if you want to call it that. We're going to work some more of our... I'm going to try and get a little bit of this. See, that's the purple mixed with our green over here, and I'm just going to subdue a few of these lines. If you can see it, hope you can't. There we go. Now I think all of this reflected light here makes a little more sense why this is a cooler red. Well, you can't have all this snow here and have this basically atomic orange red. Boom, like this. Are you going to magnetize the tank riders? I just use the airbrush to prime the vehicles. Everything else will be painted in oils or acrylics or whatever. Yeah, all the tanks, they just get a cursory priming. Actually, I've painted some of them just in weathering powders. I think I've painted at least 2 tanks so far just in weathering powders and nothing else. That's a lot of fun. That is a whole lot of fun. I know it was a Panzer II, I'm pretty sure. I painted just in weathering powders. And I also did a T3485 just in weathering powders. And it was perfect for that sort of winter whitewash thing. So that's why I want to do that again. Let's see. We got some, yeah, now the other thing to keep in mind is that this stuff, it goes longer than you think. So it's a tiny container, and I've done multiple armies with just the amount, that one container that you saw. You would think you would need hordes and hordes of it, but it's almost, I think you could see how it kind of expanded a bit. So you don't actually need quite as much as you think, maybe, which is interesting. I thought I'd be out in a second, and it just kept going and going and going. It just kept on lasting. Now I got to...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun jar.
Hey, Deadbeat Artist, thank you very much for the follow. Gandalf approves, of course. Gandalf welcomes you. Now, I was a little bit bummed. I wanted to have as a channel point, or as a chat point reward, I wanted to have something where at a certain amount of points, there would be a little, the sound bite of speak, friend, and enter with the gate. And I had all this stuff ready to go. But first of all, the Streamlabs was being weird, and it kept saying one of my GIFs was too big, or my PNG files was too big, when it definitely was not. Because all the other emoticons that I have are the exact same size. I used my previous emoticons as templates. So that was kind of painful. And basically what I wanted to have it do is, well, like an alert. So I still have to go back into basically Streamlabs and see if I can have the speak friend and enter for a channel point reward redemption thing. Like I said, the Twitch thing, technically only been doing it for a month. So there's going to be new things to learn. Alright, let's get some of this. That is not green red. That's going to be our faded plum here and our red together. There we go. Again, it's down by the snow here. Gonna use some of the faded plum to lighten that a touch. Boom, right there. So now, I was just wondering what was going on here, and I realized, ooh, we never really did get the shading on that like we needed. I'm also going to change this around. See, I made a change there from that warmer red to basically, well, you can't get much cooler red than faded plum. Let's do a little bit more of this now that we've got our snow in place, and we've got basically a little bit of something to judge it by here. Something to judge it by. Once I've got that context, then I can really work off of it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Maybe even, like I said, brighten, get a little more light in here. Just because the snow is so close to it. Now I do have a couple of videos on the YouTube channel. One of them is painting the mountain that rides. And I did sort of the same thing there, where the yellow was so influenced by the snow that was so close by that it changed the color of the robe. Here, let's look at this. Same idea there. So see how those greens, there's blues in those greens, mostly, especially where it gets close to where your snow is there. And this is another YouTube video. Both of the giants are videos up on YouTube that you can check out. And it's just, as always, James Wapple on YouTube. Here, let's not have this thing fly off the camera here. This going to do a little bit of cleanup here too. Again, using the fluorescent orange, because why not? That's just a fantabulous way to get a nice juicy red. And then I can use, again, some of the orange now. Pop that right into here. I do think I'm going to give that a little bit of a brightening too. And now look at it, we got these two very distinct colors right here. Now it's not, I don't want it to get too much lighter. I think that's about as light as I want to go with it. Let's do our thing where we kill the color once again here. So we're going to go black and white mode. Boom. You just see one flat shade right there. No difference between those two. And as the color starts to creep its way back, you can see it. You can see it. And then all of a sudden, wham. You can really see the difference between those two. And again, we are trying to factor in the snow that's over here. Trying to factor that in. Now, actually the purple and the fluorescent orange also makes a really nice amber type of a color. Look at that. And those are just your golden acrylics. Look into, there we go. See, it's almost a bit of a dry, I just referred to it as a dry glaze. Really didn't know what else the heck to call it. except for, well, dry glaze. I know it's not the most original term. Maybe not even the most accurate term, but it was the closest I could come up with. So looking to get all of these fun little transitions. And if you would have seen this thing, oh, what, about an hour and a half-ish ago, something like that, it was a complete and total mess. Because that is how all of these things begin. And now that we've gone there, see, we can get that bright highlight on the edge there, and that's just kind of your signature sort of highlight plateau on your golds. Let's do, again, that is your two fluorescents, your yellow and your orange mixed together. And oh, we got some, again, the armor here. We've got yellows, greens, all kinds of color, just basically all bouncing off of each other. How's about some, here, we're going to take some of the, that's the maggot whites. That's your bluish white mixed with the fluorescent yellow. Now we've got this crazy, almost fluorescent white color here. And that's almost going to look brighter than our actual white just because of virtue of having that fluorescent in it. And we're just looking here to do a couple of edges again on those dragon scales. Let's see if we can make this happen here. Like you do. There. Now, what about the top of this scabbard here? So we've got all the greens in here, but I'm thinking, yeah, that's it. Make that more of a gold. So we go back into our orange and kind of take that off of the green. Now we're gonna, here, let's go into our red green or green red. Yes, that's a color now. Green red, otherwise known as brown. And we'll do just knock this down a tiny bit here. Maybe a little less with the reflected light on the leather. We've got our pattern over there. And we've got our other little freehand pattern right here. Well, let's see the green red. Well, of course, I mean, just, I guess in all seriousness, if we want to be all seriousness about it, it would just have maybe a little bit more of the green than the red. It just depends on how much you also want to shock people as well. Which version sounds more shocking, red green or green red? But essentially, yeah, something that has just a little more of the red than the green. Quite literally, that is how they would name. That's how they would name a color. Or blue green, right? How many times have you heard the blue green, but you don't hear green blue very often? Green blue tends to just be like jade or turquoise. Oh, I see a little edge there we're going to fix up. And I would like to, with this little freehand in here, kind of go after this edge. Can you? You can't see that. Red green sounds, but I think that was, yeah, that was the first thing we came. It was definitely, it was red green. Well, because it was red green because we took literally the clear red and mixed it with the green, and yeah, that was that was fun. I just like to corrupt things. I guess that's what I do. I live for the corruption. That's why I guess I'm always considered very zinchy. Green red, potentially the American imitation, sort of like, what was it, when they tried doing coupling? That's right, that show, they tried doing the American version of it, and it was horrible. That was another show. They tried basically doing an American version of Miss Fisher's Mysteries, and that was beyond painful to try and watch. Oh my goodness. That was like crushed glass in the eyeballs and to the ears too. Okay, well, let's use this over here. I'm going to try and get some lights there on this part of the cloth, but I don't want it to be quite as intense. Basically, if that is too intense of a highlight there, it's too close to all the gold. Here, we don't have as much of the gold to compare it to, so this can actually kind of have some of the same gold highlights to it. Here, we don't want to do that so much. Not quite so much, which is why we're just going to... It's almost going to be like more of like a pinkish highlight here. Yeah, that works. It was just too intense before. Yeah, the IT crowd didn't work either. All right, what else are we gonna? Oh, I see this top part of the scabbard. Those need to get something on them too. Minus that little hair. I'm just wondering if chocolate chip cookies are done. Not chocolate, peanut butter cookies are done. You know, I will, for the heck of it, just try and do a couple of wood grain type things. I think Kathy was actually the first person to paint wood grain on the back of a shield. There was no wood grain there. It was just like this. It was totally flat. There was nothing on it. But she thought, well, that's kind of weird to have all of that stuff there, that big old shape with nothing on it, but yet paint all the other things around it to have all this shape. So ever since she did that, we've kind of almost automatically, instinctively painted that kind of texture on the back of the shield. It's not hard. It's simple enough to do. And we'll reinforce our lion shield here with a couple of darks, and then I see there's a quite literally missed his nose there on the lion. Let's do a touch here. And I don't know, I'm just kind of scroll something in here on this. Just kind of give it the hint that there's letters there. Like you do. So we've got our freehand in here. Again, gave it those little dots to almost make it seem as if there's been some brocade work done.